Welcome on into a very special edition of the Any Given Day podcast, your go-to news source for college football at its finest, right? Today it's a special episode. We're going to be doing a mock draft, and we're going to get to that real quick. But some news kind of broke early yesterday morning. Reggie Busch has been given his Heisman back. I gotta ask your thoughts on this, Bonner. I feel one way. My dad feels another way. What are you feeling on this?
I feel like this is going to be the unpopular opinion, but I don't think this should be celebrated because just because we have the Wild West with NIL now does not mean that USC took a massive advantage by paying people way more than what was the norm at the time for under the table paying. Just because it's crazy now does not mean USC didn't have a massive advantage back then. Reggie Busch knew what he was doing. He knew the risk. He took the money anyways. I'm fine with him getting the award back. I just don't think it should be celebrated. I don't think it should be he should have got this award back forever ago because they cheated. They broke the rules that were set in place at the time. Just because those rules are no longer in place now does not mean that the rules weren't broken back then. It's just my opinion. It may be unpopular, but that's how I feel about it.
So, you and my dad would very much agree on this. I do believe that because he was of the mindset that they broke the rules that were in place at that point in time. I don't think the award should have been stripped solely for the fact that it doesn't matter where he was at. He was clearly the best player in football that year. And I think you could make the argument that he could and should have been a two-time winner of it. But, Matt Leinart won it a year, and then he won it a year. So I can't remember which order that happened, but
I believe it was Leinart then Busch. I could be wrong.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking too. But anyways, Reggie Busch was the best player in college football. Pay or not, I do not think he should have been stripped of the Heisman to begin with. I think you levy in that regard, when it came to the NIL stuff and the getting paid for the play, I think heavy sanctions should have been levied against USC. Don't do that. Don't strip a Heisman winner of his Heisman. Because him getting paid didn't go and affect how he played and how he performed on the field. If he was caught doing steroids or PEDs, I completely understand stripping them of their Heisman in that regard. But the reason he got the Heisman stripped was stupid to begin with. So, and that's my thoughts on it. My dad's more in line with your thoughts, except he's a little bit more like, yeah, it should have been stripped. And
my thing is, right, did he deserve the award? Sure. He was he was the best player in college football. Did he deserve the award? Yes. Is it too much to take the award? Maybe. But my thing is, the rules were in place. These were the rules. And when he took the money, he knew the consequences that could come from it. So if he didn't want to have awards taken, if it's well known, which it was at the time, that awards could be taken for doing this, and he said, well, I'd rather have the money. And I get taking the money. Don't get me wrong. I don't know his past really well. I don't know what he grew up in, but a lot of these kids, they need the money because they want to, set their parents up and say, here, you have this, you're set, you're good. I get it. I get taking the money and wanting to set up your parents for life, especially if you came from a harder situation. I get it. But you knew the consequences. They were very well set out. You knew the consequences. So if you took the money, that's fine. You took the money. Cool. but you knew what you were getting yourself into if you got caught. And you got caught. These were the consequences. I don't care that he got the award back. I just don't think we should be celebrating it like this was a massive injustice because he knew what he was getting himself into. If it wasn't set in stone, these are the rules, and this is the first big thing of it, and okay, well, now this is the rule, and he's the first person ever that this has ever happened to. I can see where that would be well, he didn't deserve it, but with it being set in place, set in stone, these are the rules, it's hard to feel sorry for him because he knew what he knew what could happen. That's why I feel the way I do about it.
Okay. And I can also say I do get where you're coming from, because shifting that perspective around, I can also see you can make the argument he was going to the NFL, he was going to be a first round pick, he was going to make money anyways. But at the same time, like you said, we don't know his family situation, we don't know where he grew up. So
right.
I think there's arguments to both sides. At the end of the day.
Yep,
But,
I agree.
Anyways, moving on to the mock draft. Our mock draft, and it is the morning of the draft. It is 10:58. We're gonna have to rush to get this out. But you want to start, or should I? And let me put it this way. We both have the same guy at number 1. I can guarantee it.
Yes.
Caleb Williams, right?
Yes, Caleb Williams at 1. I feel like it's a foregone conclusion at this point.
Yeah.
Everything else is pretty much up for interpretation. It really just depends on where these teams have these guys on their boards, but that seems very much like the consensus number 1 overall pick. Regardless of whether I agree with it or not, that's who's probably going number 1.
Buddy, if it was up to you, Bowers would be going number 1.
I mean, if it's up to me, we're going Bowers 1, Amarius Mims 2, Kamari Lassiter 3, But
I know.
We're not doing that here. So I guess we'll start at 2. I'll go, then you'll go. We're just gonna go back and forth. So
thoughts and opinions on each and everyone's pick.
Yep. Number 2, the Commanders are gonna take LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels at number 2.
Okay. I have him going there as well, honestly.
Really? Okay.
Yes. I mean, I think it's a foregone. This is one of those ones that at first it was like Jaden's better than May, but they're going to take May. But as it got closer and closer to the draft, it's like they're going to take Jaden, and everyone knows it. It's an open secret at this point.
He's the better. He's got the higher ceiling. I will say. I think athletics-wise, Jaden Daniels has just got the higher ceiling than Drake May. May is probably maybe a little bit better pure passer now than Jaden Daniels is, but I think Jaden Daniels has the higher ceiling, and the Commanders aren't going to be competing this year, probably anyways, so why not take the higher upside guy, build around him? It's just, I think Jaden Daniels is probably the right pick there. Number 3, this is going to throw you for a loop.
Oh.
Maybe. You might have put the same person. I thought it was throwing you a loop, but we'll see. The Patriots are going to take Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy at 3.
Whoa! You did throw me for a loop. What is the reasoning behind that?
The combine. I mean, I think McCarthy showed a little bit of what he could do, and Drake May, he didn't perform at the combine, did he? I don't think he did. None of the top 3 quarterbacks did. Williams, Daniels, and May didn't. So I think McCarthy has shot up draft boards, and Drake May has started to fall down draft boards.
You see, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to say that the Patriots are going to go and draft Drake May, quarterback out of North Carolina.
That's fair.
I think they are very much hoping that this is their next Tom Brady. I
hope so.
mean, he's got potential. He's got potential, but at the same time, be wary because the last quarterback that was taken in the first round out of North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah,
So,
I'm just saying, Patriots got a good record of drafting Michigan quarterbacks.
I mean,
I'm just
you're not
saying. Wrong.
I will say, but
it's probably a reach. But I think personally, I think McCarthy's the better quarterback of the two.
traits wise, yes.
Traits wise,
Stat line wise,
yeah. I think it's
to steal a quote from Brooks Austin.
Yeah,
he's got the athleticism and the traits of Josh Allen, with the stat line of Jake Fromm.
Yeah, I mean, for me, for McCarthy, it's kind of the same thing I have with Jaden Daniels. Why I have Jaden Daniels over Drake May is probably the better pure quarterback now, but I like the upside of Daniels and McCarthy better than I like the upside of Drake May, personally.
And that's not to say that Drake May's not going to be a great quarterback.
Right.
But if McCarthy and Daniels both reach their full potential, they'll be better than him.
Yes.
And it might not be by much, but they're both more athletic than him.
Right. With the way the game of football in general is going, it is turning into much more athletic. I mean, you look at Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, a lot of these quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, they're much more, we're getting away from a pocket passing, immobile quarterback. Not that Drake May's immobile. Drake May has a little bit of athleticism to him, but I do like the athleticism of Daniels and McCarthy just a little bit better.
I gotcha. Who you got going at number 4?
I feel like this is no surprise to anybody, but the Cardinals are going to take Ohio State wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr.
Ooh.
I feel like that's, unless there's a trade, and they could trade down, but I feel like Marvin Harrison Jr. he could be a game changer for them. Get Kyler Murray somebody to throw the ball to, especially after they traded Rondell Moore.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they need to take a wide receiver there.
So, this is a big deferral for us because this is where I have my first trade in place.
Okay.
I feel like the Minnesota Vikings are going to trade up and trade both number 11 and 23 to the Arizona Cardinals for number 4 so that they can go and get J.J. McCarthy.
Okay.
And will that be a bit of a reach? Maybe. Like we said, if he reaches his ceiling, probably one of the steals of the draft. But that's if he reaches his ceiling. You got some what ifs there, man. So I do feel like Minnesota will see, those 3 are gone. We need to go now. And I feel like they're already feeling that pressure, and the draft hasn't even kicked off yet. They've probably felt that pressure for the past week or two, trying to get a trade in place.
Yeah.
So that's...
I could see that.
Yeah.
Number
5 for you?
The Chargers will make a trade with the Minnesota Vikings for 11 and a couple late round picks to take North Carolina quarterback Drake May at 5.
Okay. Because you do have him falling to number 5.
I have him falling, yeah.
For
and
me,
I didn't feel like the Cardinals would need a quarterback, so they could just trade back to 5 and not have to give up maybe as much.
Yeah. I can see that. For me, I have the Chargers staying pat. And I have the old Michigan man himself, Jim Harbaugh, going and taking someone he knows very well because he's had to defend against him for the past 3 years in Marvin Harrison Jr.
Mm.
and getting Justin Herbert a hopefully true number one wide receiver.
That's fair. I don't hate that.
I don't hate it either. And Jim Harbaugh, and it's just another slight little dig to Ryan Day. Oh, you have to ask me permission to get your wide receiver back on campus to talk with him. I don't know if that's how things work or not, but we all know Jim's gonna do something to rub it in Ryan's face.
No kidding. All right. Number 6, I got the Giants taking LSU wide receiver Malik Neighbors.
Same here.
Yeah,
Same
I
here.
think Neighbors is definitely the consensus number 2 wide receiver to come off the board.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe on some boards he might be 1, but I think the Cardinals and or Chargers, whoever takes Marvin Harrison Jr., he's probably the consensus number 1 for whoever's going to be up high enough to take him.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like the Giants, though, taking Neighbors there.
I would not be surprised if we look back in 2-3 years and Malik Neighbors. And this is not a knock on Marvin Harrison Jr. I would not be shocked though if we look back in a few years and be like, how did Malik Neighbors go after Marvin? Like Marvin's good, but Malik's better right now.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked, but at the same time, I also wouldn't be shocked if Marvin Harrison is the best guy. We'll see.
I mean, it's 2 completely different wide receivers, really. I mean, Marvin Harrison's more the bigger bodied, go get it kind of guy. Neighbors is a little bit more quick. Neighbors is still a guy that can go get it for you, but Neighbors is a little bit more of a quicker wide receiver than Harrison, so, and a little bit smaller, I believe. I believe Neighbors is a little bit smaller. So, all right. Number 7, the Titans are going to take Notre Dame left tackle Joe Alt.
I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. They just look like they're in the position right now. They need a tackle. They need to shore up that line right now, and they're going to do it. And it's a very, I would say it's a very, oh crap, what was his name? Oh my gosh, he just got let go by him, head coach.
Vrabel?
Vrabel. I knew it started with a V. I forgot his name for a second there, man.
I was wondering who you're trying to remember. I kept waiting for a detail of who we were trying to remember. Okay.
But no, I was fixing to say that seems like a very Vrabel move in this draft, but Vrabel ain't there anymore. It just seems like that's what they need right now, and that's what they're going to get.
Yeah.
So I fully expect that to happen.
I agree. Number 8, I have the Falcons taking Alabama edge Dallas Turner at 8. I went back and forth a little bit on this, on whether to look at a trade and moving back to get, I cannot pronounce his name. Laiatu Latu. I looked at it. I can never pronounce his name. I looked at it, but I feel like the obvious trade back would be maybe trading with the Bengals, giving up 8 and maybe something else to try and get 18 and maybe Trey Hendrickson since they just tried to franchise tag him. But I thought that might be a little too crazy and out of the realm of possibility, so I stayed at 8.
So a thought on that, actually. If they did that, they would shore up the edge automatically. And now all of a sudden, you're looking at something completely and utterly different. You're not looking at an edge rusher at that point for this class.
Right.
But you're also doing that with the mindset of we need to lock Hendrickson up now.
Right.
So
and I didn't really know if the Falcons really have the money to try and lock up Hendrickson because he wants a long-term contract.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I would love to pull the trigger on that trade, I don't know if they can pull it off or if they will pull it off.
I mean, to be fair, You know, bias
Right.
obviously, but we weren't exactly going and expecting the Rondale Moore trade. I feel like we
Oh,
kind of like
no
that was a
kidding.
shock,
It
but
was a
at the same
massive
time,
shock.
I have something completely different happening. I actually have them trading back with the Denver Broncos
Oh,
going from 8 to 12,
okay.
giving up. So the Falcons would give up 8 for the 12th pick in this year's draft and the first round pick in next year's draft. Because Denver is going to go and draft Michael Penix Jr. They are going to reach for him. They are going to see, oh, all these other quarterbacks have gone. And we've heard rumblings that there have been teams that they really like Michael Penix Jr. and they would draft him in the first. And if the right scenario happened, which I think this might be the right scenario, that someone would trade up to get him. I think this is that scenario. I think they get Michael Penix Jr. and Atlanta gets the 12th overall pick and Denver's first next year. Because that is how desperate Denver and Sean Payton will be.
Interesting. I don't hate it.
You also have
I
to
don't
think
hate
about. You also have to think they did get Zach Wilson, yesterday or 2 days ago,
it.
but
Yeah.
this would incentivize. Hey, you know, if I think it would make sense because now, okay, you've got Wilson, and if he turns out to be a guy, great. If not, you give him reins for a year or two. You give him a shot for a year or two. Hopefully, help him get back on his feet. And then, if you think Penix is your guy, you let Wilson walk. You let Penix take over.
Yeah. I don't hate it. All right. For me, at 9, the Bears are
The
going to
Bears.
take Texas defensive tackle Byron Murphy.
Ooh. Ooh. See, I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have Byron Murphy coming off for a bit.
Really?
See, I have them securing up the wide receiver.
Rome
Uh,
Odunze?
I Rome Odunze. I see them getting him to partner him up with Caleb, and I think at this point it might be a almost foregone conclusion, unless one of those teams earlier that needs a wide receiver really likes Odunze.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Bears. Personally, the reason I haven't taken Byron Murphy. Obviously, you get Caleb Williams, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've lost Darnell Mooney this offseason. And your wide receivers are booty cheeks. I don't hate Rome Odunze there, honestly. Now that I've talked myself into this, but um, at the same time, I think they do need a little bit of defense, and Byron Murphy could be that dude at defensive tackle to kind of be the center of that defensive line for the year, for the foreseeable future, anyways.
I can see it. I can see it. I think I know who you're going to put at number 10 though for the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets at 10. I have them taking Washington wide receiver Rome Odunze.
Oh no! I was wrong.
Who did you think I had it going to the Jets?
The same person I did. I had
Who?
Brock Bowers going to the
No,
Jets at number 10.
I don't have Brock Bowers for a while.
Wow, you have him falling.
I do. He didn't
Wow,
participate in the
okay.
combine. I mean,
But then he did his
I
own private.
I know. Also coming off an injury.
Look, here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say in this regard. I had Romo Dunze come off literally a pick before that. But if you look at a true, honest to God mismatch nightmare,
Oh yeah, I mean I
who's more of a
agree.
mismatch nightmare? Brock Bowers or Romo Dunze?
I mean Brock Bowers is more of a matchup nightmare, 1,000%.
Exactly.
but I think people are going to be scared to take him because he just had surgery last year.
I can see that.
I think that's why he's going to drop. Not because, I mean, people know that have watched this podcast. We've been talking about Brock Bowers being a top 5 pick all year long.
Yep.
But he got hurt, had that ankle surgery. That was a tightrope surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and because of the position he plays,
yeah, he was going to drop. And I have him dropping a little bit more than you do.
Yeah.
I think if they can get Romo Dunsey to pair with Aaron Rodgers, I think it'll be good for that offense to get Rodgers somebody to throw to.
Oh God, yeah. So yeah, no. Like I said, Bowers right there is someone he can throw to as well.
Right.
Too big for a regular defensive back, too fast for the linebacker. How many times as Georgia fans have we seen this man take over a game?
Part of me selfishly does not want him to play for the Jets because historically it has been a dumpster fire of an organization.
Yeah.
And I like the place I have him going much better.
I think I know where you have him going.
You'll see. Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. Spoiler alert, people.
Yeah.
But
who
do you have?
Huh?
Oh no, it's never mind. I was fixing to say who do you have at number 11? But if you still want to keep on, or if you had something else you had to say.
No. Number 11. So obviously the Chargers had traded back to 11 with the Vikings earlier. They're going to take Alabama tackle / guard J.C. Latham.
Oof. Yeah, you don't have the Viking. You had the Vikings there, right?
I have the Chargers there because the Vikings traded up from 11.
Oh yeah. Never mind. Gosh, and I can see that working because Jim Harbaugh historically likes to have a run first offense. Old khaki pants. So we both have different teams at the 11th spot. I have the Cardinals there. I have them getting Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver out of LSU.
Holy crap.
It might be a bit of a reach, but they need a wide receiver, and he's the best one on the board at that point. Okay?
Oh, God. Okay. I had to look how far down I have him on my board.
Yeah, I know.
I know I have him on here. I couldn't remember where. It's nowhere near 11.
And I get the argument. He's not, that's a reach. I get it. But at that point, he's the best wide receiver on the board. And the other guys they're going to go for in the first round, they're going to be there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they still might win the first round if you actually look at my draft. So
that's fair. Number 12. So I still have the Broncos here at 12. You have the Falcons, correct?
Yep.
Okay. I have the Broncos at 12 taking Oregon quarterback Bo Nix.
You want to talk about reaches? Over Penix?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't want to hear crap about Brian Thomas being at 11. Oh my God, you're giving them a 30-year-old quarterback out of college?
Yeah. I like Bo Nix, personally. The reason I have Nix over Penix is because of the injury history.
Okay.
Penix having been hurt pretty much every year of his career other than the last 2 in college.
Plus the idea of having to swap your tackles.
Right. So having Nix there, obviously they just got Zach Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
You can have, Penix is older than Nix, is he not? Penix is like 24, 25.
They're
I think
both old, if we're being
they're both
honest.
old. I think Penix might be a year older. I don't know. But I feel like having Nix there, Nix is probably not as ready as Penix is, but obviously without the injury history, you can have him sit behind Wilson for that year or two and learn the system. Where I feel like Penix, if you have him sit, it's just going to be a waste because Penix is probably ready now, talent wise. Nix probably isn't for the NFL. So if you're going to have Zach Wilson, I feel like you don't want to waste a pick necessarily on Penix, who's going to have to sit for a year or two.
Okay, yeah. I can see that. I can understand that. Number 12 for the Atlanta Falcons, who have traded back from number 8. I think we talked about this before. I can't even remember if we talked about this a few minutes ago when we were doing this, but I was of the mindset that if the Falcons stay at 8, they are going to take Dallas Turner.
Right.
If they trade back, though, I think they are going to go and draft Laiatu Latu, the edge out of UCLA. And the reason I say this, and I would even say as a Falcons fan, this might be my preferred pick. How many times have we seen the Falcons go and draft one of the supposed top edges, right? Vic Beasley, Tack McKinley. Neither one are still with the team.
Right.
And it's not because the Falcons didn't want to pay them in free agency. It's because
they were not good.
Yeah, Vic had the 1 year he led the league in sacks in the Super Bowl year, and that was it. And Tack was just, which some people will say, well, this is another guy out of UCLA, just like Tack. There's a difference, man. So we're both wrestling fans, and we know how anyone with Samoan or Tongan of descent is raised. And those guys off the field, super respectful, super nice, all that. Very, very good people. You mess with their families, it's ugly. It gets ugly. But
yeah.
But so I think honestly, if you look at Latu right now compared to Turner, Latu's ready to go right now. Turner, you were betting on the upside, and you were betting that he might be a generational edge rusher. And that's not to say that if he doesn't reach his ceiling, he won't be good, but Latu has the higher floor. So
yeah, my only argument would be that Dallas Turner probably had the most productive college football career out of him, Beasley, and McKinley.
Yeah.
So Turner's kind of proved he can do it if you put him in the right situation. Granted, that was at Alabama.
Yeah.
So I would be fine. Honestly, I had talked myself into Dallas Turner at 8 after we signed Kirk Cousins, and then I talked myself into Latu. So I would be fine with either. I think either would be great. They need somebody on that edge or on defense, really. Anybody on the defensive line. Because the Falcons' defensive line last year was abysmal.
Yeah.
Abysmal.
No, it's which I mean, you have bright spots. You have a few bright spots, but if with Latu, it's like I said, he's ready to go right now. Turner, you're betting on the upside, and you're betting that he'll get better each and every year.
Right.
I've been burned too many times.
I get it.
Trust me. After you see, the Tack McKinley one is the one that really burns me because he never did anything for Atlanta.
No.
And T.J. Watt was still on the board, and that is.
I agree.
The story of immediately after them having drafted him coming up on the stage, cussing like a sailor, Arthur Blank being shocked and appalled by the language, and then looking over at Dimitrov and saying, "Fix this now." That was a pick that got Dimitrov fired.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. I am of the mindset of that. And then you have, like I said, you still had TJ Watt on the board. That was, which, to be fair to the Falcons on that, a lot of people, everyone besides the Steelers, missed on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. All right. Number 13. Go ahead.
I'm still kind of shocked you had Latham be the first tackle off the board.
Yeah. You know, it's Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Number 13.
Oh, second tackle. Second tackle? Alt.
Yeah, I had Alt first off the board. Yeah.
We both had Alt first off the board.
Yeah.
De-stress.
It's okay. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Number 13, I have the Raiders taking Washington quarterback Michael Penix.
Okay.
At 13.
I mean, what's there to say about Penix that we haven't already said?
Right.
I get where you're coming from on this. It makes sense. They need a quarterback, for their identity of the Raider way and all that. I went offense, but I went a very different position. I went the guy that protects the quarterback. I went Olumuyiwa. Mother flipper. Give me a second. Flip on me.
Olufashanu?
Yeah, Olufashanu. Offensive tackle, Penn State.
Yeah.
They need a solid tackle. So, yeah.
I could see it with Penix already being off the board for you.
My draft, yeah.
And you thinking Nix is a reach for 13th, which he might be.
Late first round, I can see.
To be seen.
But
yeah, I could see just saying, okay, well, maybe we'll look at Bo Nix later in the draft. Yeah. Maybe trade back up into the first round, early second round to try and get Bo Nix, and we'll take a tackle, somebody to protect him at this point. I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of Olufashanu, at 14, I have the Saints taking Olufashanu.
Yeah, like we said, solid tackle out of Penn State for he's I remember going into this year he was viewed as like the number one tackle on the board. And granted, Joe Alt really set himself aside, but then again, what do you expect? It's an offensive tackle out of Notre Dame. They come out of nowhere, and they tend to be long-tenured guys in the NFL. That's just how it is. So with the Saints at 14, I also have them getting an offensive tackle, but Fashanu's off the board. So I went Taliesa Fuaga out of Washington, or not Washington,
Oregon State.
Oregon State, yeah.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Once again, really solid tackle. Probably going to be the best one you have at that point in my draft.
Yeah.
So
I have one other guy ahead of him on mine.
I know.
He's more of a guard than he could play both, but the guy I got ahead of him is more of a guard.
Okay.
Okay.
Number 15. I know who number 15 for you is.
Yeah. I have the Colts taking Georgia tight end Brock Bowers.
There it is. I'll say this. We've anyone who's been watching this podcast knows how we feel about Brock Bowers. He's the best tight end in college football history. And if he keeps it up, he's going to be he'll go down as the greatest tight end in NFL history. That's how good he is. That's how good of a chance he has to be a freak. I said last night somewhere, I was talking to someone last night, and I was like, it will never happen. It will never, ever happen But God forbid the Kansas City Chiefs somehow get their hands on Brock Bowers. Andy Reid that would be a nightmare.
To have Travis Kelce, Brock Bowers, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it would be. There might be an investigation. The only other place I could see him just being the only other place you could not allow him to go would be to the Ravens with Todd Monken.
That would be ridiculous.
We've seen Todd Monken cook with that man before. So, I went the opposite side of the ball for the Colts, though.
Right.
I went Dallas Turner at 15.
Okay.
And now the reason I went for him is in that scenario, I was going to go best player available. And in that scenario, it came down to either edge or cornerback. Right? And they need both. But one was viewed as a better player, and that was Dallas Turner. And we've talked about him. If he reaches his potential, he could be a generational talent. So
I do have a question.
I might have an answer.
So, obviously, in your mock draft, the Falcons trade back to 12. If Dallas Turner's still on the board at 12, would they take Dallas Turner possibly? Because if they're staying at 8, they're taking Dallas Turner. If they could get him at 12, if he's still on the board at 12.
So, I think in that scenario, it would be, okay, we're going to trade back to justify taking
Latu. I guess you, not because they...
Yeah.
Not because they think they can get Turner later, because they can justify not taking Latu at 8 and taking him at 12.
I think if they trade back, they're willingly saying, okay, y'all can have Turner. We have our guy.
Right.
Now granted, that's not to say they won't draft Turner, but it came down to if they're willing to look past the injury history. Latu was a guy who was medically retired. But it is what it is. I think, like I said, and like I've said, I think he's ready now. With Turner, You're like, okay, you're going to have to see some production, and you're going to have to see some development still. But, yeah. Number 16?
I got you. Number 16. I have the Seahawks taking Washington guard Troy Fautanu.
Troy Fautanu.
Troy Fautanu. I have him taking guard Troy Fautanu.
He was listed as a tackle where I'm at.
I had guard / tackle.
Yeah. I mean, he could slip inside. He could slip inside. So, I actually have the Seahawks going cornerback and taking Terry and Arnold off the board. So, yeah. I think it's a toss-up real quick. At this point, I think it's a toss-up between him and Quinyon Mitchell, who goes first. I think Terrian's ready to go right now. Quinyon, you're really betting on the traits and athleticism.
Right.
And that's not to say he's not good right now, but like if he hits like they think he will, he'll end up being the best cornerback in this class.
Yeah.
If not, he'll still might be a first round pick, but
right. Buddy, we are right on top of each other. At 17, I have the Jaguars taking Alabama quarterback Terry and Arnold.
Oh,
it's right on top of each other. We're real close.
So you want to know the real thing?
What?
Same position. The other guy though, Quinyon Mitchell, to the Jaguars for me. Like I said, I think he's more athletic overall he's a better athlete between the two, and that's not to say Terry and Arnold's not an elite athlete. Terry and Arnold is still like right there with him, but Quinyon kind of beats him out athleticism wise just a little bit.
Right.
So I think at like if you're at 17 as the Jaguars, and you're getting Quinion, and he's the second cornerback off the board, I think you might get a steal there. So, latter half of the first round, bit of risk, but could end up being amazing.
Yeah, I agree. 18. I have the Bengals taking UCLA's Liatu Latu at 18.
So we've already talked about Latu. So
Yeah.
I'll go into my pick. At 18 for the Bengals, I have them taking Byron Murphy II out of Texas. This is where I have him going. Like I said, I had him falling a bit. And that's not to say falling. He's the best defensive tackle in this draft.
Right.
Hands down. I think if they got him here, it would be a steal. And if they do get him, I think they are very much at peace with, okay, Hendrickson's going to leave, but we got him. So,
right.
So I think that would be a great pickup for him. I think he's really good at what he does. He's explosive on the interior.
Right. I agree.
So, yeah, you can get a pass rush up the middle with him. And so I've also seen, and sorry to bring it back to our team, but I've seen people go and be like mock drafting him to the Falcons. And as appealing as that would be to have him and Onyemata or him and Grady Jarrett up the middle, just destroying the interior, we need an outside.
They need an outside rusher. They're not going to waste it on a defensive tackle.
And the Bengals do need D-line help. And I think this is one of them.
Yeah. All right. 19. I have the Rams taking Toledo cornerback Quinion Mitchell.
Okay.
At 19.
See, I have them same side of the ball, but I have them getting Jared Verse out of Florida State, edge. Get a little bit of a pressure help. They need some help on the D line with Aaron Donaldson just now retiring. I not thinking about it. I mean, if say with the whole Hendrickson thing, I could see this being flipped. I could see my 18 and 19 being flipped right now with the Bengals basically fixing to have to trade Hendrickson. I could see them getting Jared Verse and then the Rams getting Byron Murphy to replace Donaldson. So
right.
Jared Verse, solid edge, solid guy coming off the edge. Great at standing up the run. So, we'll see.
It's too bad. Too bad we didn't get to see it in a bowl game.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
what a shame.
What a shame.
A little shot there. That's my bad. I've been holding on to that one for a while.
We're all petty about it. Number 20.
Number 20, I got the Steelers taking Oregon State tackle Talisi Fuga. Is that how you pronounce that? Fuga. Yeah. Yeah, I got him at 20 to the Steelers.
Fuaga.
Oh, that's an A, not a G.
Yeah.
I see.
Fuaga.
Yeah.
So I have them getting a tackle, but Fuaga's off the board. So who could they get? Where have they gone to before to get an offensive lineman, a tackle, if you will?
Okay. If they got both,
Marius
Broderick Jones
out of Georgia,
Mims.
To have Broderick Jones, who Marius Mims replaced over at Georgia, and to then go and have both of them on the line would be amazing. You'd have arguably the best tackle tandem, I think, in the league. And those are two guys who have played with each other. They phrasing. Played on the same line before.
Phrasing,
yeah. Whoa. Whoopsie daisy.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I know. Anyways,
I think that could be good for them. They definitely need another tackle, though. Mm-hmm. So
And I'll say this, and I think this has been his biggest knock. The only reason Amarius Mims isn't going to be one of the first 2 tackles off the board is lack of reps. If he had been starting for 2 years, fully healthy, starting for 2 years, I think you can make an argument for him to be the number 1 tackle off the board. But that comes back to bite you every now and then.
All right. 21. I got the Dolphins making big moves to get Texas wide receiver Xavier Worthy.
Oh.
To add on to Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Could you imagine?
Wow.
Those
I didn't even
3
think
out
that.
there on the field at the same time.
See, I went offense. Like Xavier Worthy, that I don't know. I think that might be a reach if I'm being honest.
It could be.
Just wow.
He's the last wide receiver I have going. No, I'm sorry. I got one more.
I mean, so in my draft, he's going to be like I've got him in the first round, but he's not until towards the end.
I think I know where you have him going.
Yeah. Anyways, for the Dolphins, for me, I had them getting Troy Fautanu. Like I said, I think they need a lineman to protect their quarterback, because at the rate they have gone, Tua is going to die on that field.
I think he already did. No offense. No offense to Tua.
I don't mean bad
not to be
things by
insensitive.
this, but when your quarterback is knocked out and his hands are just that's bad.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah. I agree. I didn't like for my mock draft. I didn't like the tackle options I had left available at this point.
You didn't like Amarius Mims?
I felt like it might have been a little. I felt like I have him going a little bit good, about 5 or 6 more picks, and I have a guy going before him.
Okay.
Reps. It's just the reps thing. From a GM point of view, I feel like he's going to drop because of the game time reps.
See,
going out there and doing it.
And I get that. And my whole thing is the reason why I had him going to the Steelers when I did is they have experience getting a Georgia offensive lineman, a Georgia tackle.
Right.
And Darnell, who is might as well be
basically a tackle.
He's basically a third tackle out there, people. They know what they're getting out of him. They know he wouldn't have started at Georgia unless he was a real deal. So, yeah. Who do you have?
22. I got the Eagles taking Iowa defensive back Cooper DeJean.
See, I have them going with a defensive back as well.
Mm-hmm.
I have them going with Nate Wiggins out of Clemson.
I don't even think I have him on here. I don't.
So, typically, you are going to get a solid defensive back out of Clemson. That's just how it goes. Typically. So when they got
but Cooper DeJean's pretty good.
Oh, no, no doubt Cooper DeJean's good. I'm not saying he's not, but I think they're going to go with the overall safer bet. And personally, I think Cooper DeJean is a safe bet, but I think they'll be scared off by something they shouldn't be scared off by.
What, Iowa? I see.
They'll be too scared to put him at cornerback, and they don't necessarily need safety help from what I can remember. I could be wrong.
I don't believe there's a single how am I gonna?
There's no white cornerbacks.
Okay.
Just say it.
Okay. I should say there isn't any white cornerbacks in the NFL, is there? Not starting, anyways.
Not starting.
But it's the Eagles.
It is the Eagles.
Could you imagine?
Could you imagine boy from Iowa ending up there?
All the more reason for them to take Cooper DeJean at 22.
Yeah.
All right.
Who you got at 23 for the
23, I got the Vikings taking Illinois defensive tackle Johnny Newton.
Okay, so in my mock, I had the Vikings trade 11 and 23 to the Cardinals for number 4. But I still have Johnny Newton going there at 23 to the Cardinals and helping shore up the defensive line. Like I said, the Cardinals low key win my mock draft. They still got one more pick.
I still like the Cardinals pick at 27 I have. But having 3 picks in the first round.
Yeah.
That would be nice if the Cardinals could pull that off.
Oh yeah. Without a doubt. And I think some people will make the argument that Johnny Newton could be the better one between him and Byron Murphy.
We talked about that during our Combine episode.
Mm-hmm.
The upside.
You can move him around.
Yeah. He's a little bit smaller of a guy.
Then everyone's going to look. Which, to be fair, Byron Murphy's looked small on Texas's defensive line, but that's only really when he's next to Tavondre Sweat. So, I'd look small next to him.
Most people would look small next to him, other than maybe Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis is a freak. He's a freak.
He is
an athlete.
All right, number 24. I have the Cowboys choosing not to get a skill position player after not getting anybody all offseason and getting Oklahoma offensive tackle Tyler Guyton.
Okay. Same position, but what's a name that's already on your board that's not on any board yet on mine? And that is Alabama offensive tackle J.C. Latham.
Yeah.
And if he's still there at that point, that is a steal.
That's a steal if he's still there.
God, yeah. We made fun of Alabama's offensive line a lot last year, but
J.C. Latham was like about the only bright spot.
He was the bright spot.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing else to be said. Tyler Guyton. Great offensive lineman. He'll do great things.
Yeah.
I could see that working pretty well, just having to go down from Oklahoma to Texas a little bit of the way. But I just at this point in my mock, JC's still there, so they're going to go for the best one, and he's going to be the better of those two.
Oh, absolutely. 25. I got the Packers getting Jordan Love some protection with Georgia offensive tackle Amarius Mims.
Ooh. I actually kind of like that.
I love that.
Like, if he gets past the Steelers, I could very much see that happening, especially with Bakhtiari gone. But, sometimes when players have to go from their schools, they're in certain areas that aren't necessarily big cities, or they're big cities, but then they go to a smaller town, right? You know what?
Sure.
You know what would be a great pickup by the Packers, who need some secondary help? Cooper DeJean out of Iowa.
Cooper DeJean? It's like...
Because
that would be massive.
They need a safety, they need a cornerback, and that way they can go and be like, okay, we'll give you a shot at cornerback. If we don't think that, then we can go and just line you up at safety, and we're good to go either way. Which I think if he is given a shot at cornerback, he is too athletic not to do it. This dude had an almost 40 vert in high school.
Right.
So he's too good of an athlete, and I literally think it is just this that's stopping him from being one of the top cornerbacks in this draft.
Yeah.
So,
All right. 26. The Buccaneers are going to take Florida State edge Jared Verse.
okay. See, I have them reaching a bit. I also have them getting an edge, but I have them getting Chop Robinson out of Penn State.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, coming into this year, we thought, okay, Chop Robinson might be one of the top guys. He's a surefire first-round pick. He kind of fell a bit during the draft and everything, but I think it ended up playing out pretty well, all in all, in this one.
Yeah.
He's great edge rusher. I just there are reasons he's not above the others, and that's just because those other guys they really showed out over the past few years. So
right,
that's not a knock on him. He's still, I still think he might be in a different draft. He's a first round talent. It's just you don't need as much. I say you don't need as much edge rush help this year, but still.
Yeah, I agree. Buddy, we seem to be on the same wavelength yet again, because at 27, I have the Cardinals taking Penn State edge Chop Robinson.
Okay, so at 27, so the Cardinals so far at 11, they had, gotta find it. They had Brian Thomas Jr. They got their wide receiver, right? Then,
yep.
At 23, they got their defensive lineman in Johnny Newton. This time, though, they're going secondary. They're taking Kool-Aid McKinstry at 27 for me. It's another one of those instances where coming into this year, we thought, okay, he's going to be one of the top cornerbacks coming off the board. And if you have him at 27, I think that is a steal.
Oh, yeah.
You get... Like I said, this is why I said I have the Cardinals low-key winning this draft. They get their defensive help, and in steals, mind you, and they also get a wide receiver. So,
yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. At 28, the Buffalo Bills. Obviously, the big news coming out of this offseason.
Stephon
Diggs being traded. So they're going to take LSU wide receiver Brian Thomas.
Okay.
At 28.
So, I have them going same position, right? And I debated this one for a bit. I really did. And when it came down to it, I was thinking, what do they need the most? They need a wide receiver who will show up in the clutch moments.
Oh, okay.
Who is the one wide receiver in this draft who's been clutch in every big game situation he has been in?
A.D. Mitchell.
Ding, ding, ding. A.D. Mitchell. I have them getting A.D. Mitchell up to Buffalo at number 28, who is a surefire guy. We know it as former Georgia fans. Texas fans know it. So, I mean, now granted, it's going to be a lot different up there than it is down in Texas, in Austin, or Athens. But I think AD can
much
go
colder.
That.
Yeah, I like that pick. All right. 29, getting towards the end here. The Detroit Lions are going to take Alabama cornerback Kool-Aid McKinstry at 29.
Okay. So, for me, I have them reaching a bit.
Okay.
I have them going Darius Robinson, edge out of Missouri.
Wow.
Yeah. I like his versatility. You can line him up at linebacker. You can line him up on the interior, I think, and on the edge. So I like his versatility, and I don't know why, and I cannot believe I'm fixing to compare these two, but for some reason, when I look at Eli Drink and the way he's running Missouri, for some reason, I get slight Dan Campbell vibes.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know why, because I can't see Eli gnawing off someone's kneecaps, but like MCDC, baby. But I think it would be, I think it would just be a match made in heaven. I looked at it and I was like, I liked it. I was like, that makes so much sense. You get someone across on the other side from
Aiden Hutchinson.
Aiden Hutchinson. Get someone off from the other side of him, and you're set.
Yeah, I agree. All right. At 30, I have the Ravens taking Oregon center Jackson Powers Johnson.
Okay, so
you didn't do it, did you? Did you do it?
Didn't do what?
No, did you do it? You know what I'm talking about. Did you do it?
So, in what might, in some people's eyes, be considered a reach, I went and got Todd Monken, an old weapon of his. I have the Baltimore Ravens taking wide receiver Ladd McConkey out of Georgia.
Didn't.
Because if anybody knows how to use Ladd McConkey, it is Todd Monken. Okay? That is...
Mm-hmm.
Ladd's a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't look it. He doesn't look it. But that kid is fast, and he is...
Listen, I love the kid. Biggest reach I've ever seen.
Biggest reach? Dude, I've seen him falling to 32 to the Kansas City Chiefs, which would be a nightmare of its own as well.
I'm telling you, he's going in the second round. It's too short.
If he goes in the second round, it is going to be the first pick to the Panthers of the second round.
Yeah.
Which, I like, at this point, at 30...
They need.
At 30, you're 2 picks away from the second round anyways.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it's that big of a reach. Especially if it's...
Yeah, but they need protection on the offensive line, and they could use a center.
And I can see that. But I don't see any centers ever going in the first round. It doesn't make that much sense to me. Right?
That's fair.
So, and like I said, this...
I just think it's a reach.
And
I think it's a massive
and I
reach.
get it.
It's okay, though.
But, Lord knows, if anyone knows how to use him, it is Monken.
Mm-hmm.
Monken will scheme ways to get that kid open, or use him as a decoy to get the others open.
That's fair.
So I think it would be a match made in heaven for Monken to get his hands on one of his former guys that he knows how to use. And for those saying, well, Ladd's not fast.
He's pretty quick, but I personally, I think it's a reach.
No, it was a 4.39. It was a 4.39.
Yeah, personally, I think it's a reach, but that's just me. It's okay. I understand. At 31,
breakaway speed.
Now, I know you said you don't really typically think about centers going in the first round.
You have a second center going in the first round.
But I have a second center going in the first round at 31. The 49ers are going to take Georgia center Cedric Van Prin.
Okay, so what's there to say about both Jackson Powers Johnson and Cedric Van Prin? They're both great centers. I
think they're 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
Personally,
I think if you're going for the better overall athlete, you're going to go for Jackson. But if you want a guy who knows this game inside and out, and I do mean inside and out, I've heard nothing but rave things about this kid's mind. And when everything is all said and done and he chooses to retire, I feel like it would be a huge waste if he does not go into coaching. It's Cedric Van Prin Granger. Simple as that. Like, the dude knows ball. To quote Brooks Austin again. Certified ball knower.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
I think those would be the only two centers that you would want in this draft in the first round.
So who do you have going at 31?
I have an offensive lineman, but I have Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma going here instead.
Okay.
So
I got you. That's fair. You know what? I've been going first this whole time. I'll let you go first for the last pick.
Oh, thank you. Number 32 to Kansas City Chiefs, Xavier Worthy. Just big-bodied receiver, can go up and get it. We know it. Like, he's really good, and that's the last thing Casey needs is another weapon, right?
Right.
So, who do you got?
Right. With 32.
I swear to
I
God.
have the Kansas City Chiefs taking Georgia wide receiver Ladd McConkey.
You son of a gun. Like, yeah, no. That's a reach. 2 picks later. Oh, yeah, I've got him going there. Yeah. No.
Yeah, second round. I might have been gaslighting you. It's okay.
Look, I think we can both agree. If he goes to the Ravens, if he goes to the Chiefs, either way, the rest of the NFL's screwed because you've got an offensive mastermind with their hands on a weapon like him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I can't imagine the Chiefs with Travis Kelce, Ladd McConkey.
The whitest boys you know, baby.
Patrick Mahomes, who's basically white. Let's be honest.
Anyways, I in that scenario right there, I cannot wait for the moment that someone goes and asks, so what's it like playing with the greatest tight end in football history? And Ladd just being like, well, Brock's not my teammate anymore, but...
Oh, jeez.
And here's the thing. I think if he did that right in front of Travis would actually laugh. He'd freaking love it. He seems like the kind of guy who would automatically, yeah. But I can see once Travis retires, Bowers being the best tight end, unless him or Pitts, if they get their crap together. If Pitts gets his crap together, yes. If not, I can see it by being either Bowers or Laporta. So I feel like Laporta was one of the better tight ends this year. So,
yeah,
that brings an end to our mock drafts.
Yep.
This was fun, man. I can't wait for next year.
It was. This was very fun. I enjoyed it. All right. Well, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. We come out with content every week for college football, and we're going to be posting shorts that you can find on TikTok, YouTube, Twitter,
probably
Instagram, all that.
Yeah, probably start that in the next week or so.
Yeah.
Gotta get our stuff together, people.
Yeah, we're going to start posting daily content on those platforms. So make sure you stay tuned. And as always, thank you. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Hunter, you got anything you want to end us on?
Rise up, dirty birds. And honestly, thank you for your service, Matty Ice. You were done wrong.
Hell yeah.
That last year or two.
Hell yeah.
Hall of Famer. First ballot.
Hall of Famer.